Welcome back to Hang and Vibe. This week I tried to study last week's sermons a little bit more carefully, so hopefully I'll be able to talk a little bit more about them. We had Cliff preach in the morning and in the evening again. In the morning, Cliff preached on Judges 9, which is about Abimelech. Abimelech, son of Jerubbaal. Jerubbaal was Gideon, but it was his other name. So Abimelech was one of 70 brothers. Yeah, so Abimelech didn't want to share the rule over Israel with his brothers. So he convinced the people of Shechem to let him be the sole ruler. So they gave him 70 shekels of silver, which he used to hire basically a gang of scoundrels. And he took his 70 brothers and killed them all on a stone. All but one of his brothers, the youngest son of Gideon, named Jotham, who escaped by hiding. And eventually the people of Shechem made Abimelech their king. And Jotham is upset about this because, his brother just killed all the rest of his brothers. So he stands on a mountain and basically gives them this parable and says, if you have acted honorably by making Abimelech your king, which is kind of a rhetorical question because Abimelech is not an honorable person, so he's saying, obviously you guys are not making a good decision, but if hypothetically, if this is a good idea, then let him bring joy to you, and may you bring him joy too. But if you have not acted honorably, then he says, let fire come out from Abimelech and consume you, the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and let fire come out from you, the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and consume Abimelech. He's basically saying, this is gonna go badly for both of you, citizens of Shechem and King Abimelech. So Jotham kind of pieces out and escapes to Beer, and hides from his brother, I should say, Abimelech. And Abimelech governs Israel for 3 years, and then Shechem grows tired of it and decide that they're gonna rise up against Abimelech. And this guy named Gaul moves in with his family, moves into Shechem, and he's like, you guys should put me in charge, and I'll take care of this Abimelech guy for you. So they make Gaul their kind of general, and he plans an attack against Abimelech, but Zebul, who's the governor of Shechem, kind of Abimelech's right-hand man, Zebul goes to Abimelech and he's like, hey, this mob is forming against you, so you might want to deal with that. So he gets Abimelech to plan an ambush, and Abimelech's army, they come up against Shechem, and Gaul is hanging out with Zebul, and he's like, oh, look over there, there's an army coming towards us. And Gaul is like, no, don't worry about that, you've mistaken the shadows on the mountain for people. And Gaul's like, no, seriously, there's a huge army coming up to attack us. And then Zebul's like, yeah, that's right. Where's your big talk now? You were thinking you could go up against Abimelech, but now here he comes, and you're chickening out. So Abimelech comes up against Shechem with his army, and they basically obliterate the city. He chases the people of Shechem into this big tower, and Abimelech and his army gather up a bunch of branches and set them up against the tower and set them on fire, and the fire burns the tower and everybody inside. So then Abimelech, for some reason, I guess just because he's like seeing red and he's like in a rage, he goes to the next town over, which is Thebez, and just decides to attack them too for some reason. And he's like, let's destroy Thebez, and he approaches all the people are hiding in a tower in Thebez, and he goes up to the tower to set it on fire as well. But as soon as he gets up to the entrance, a woman from the top of the tower drops an upper millstone on his head and cracks his skull open. And so Abimelech is dying, and he says to his armor bearer, draw your sword and kill me so that people don't say I was killed by a woman. And so his armor bearer does and kills him. So the curse that Jotham pronounced on the mountain basically comes true. Abimelech destroyed Shechem for their sin of making him king, and Shechem, well, not Shechem, but Abimelech is destroyed himself for the sin of being a sucky king. And the thing that I really like about this passage is how it parallels Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. God's basically what people call the proto-evangelion, I think. The very first instance of the gospel in the Bible, where God says to the serpent in the garden, he says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Which of course is pointing forward to Christ on the cross. His heel was bruised. He was killed by the Romans, but he dealt a deathly blow to the serpent's head and came out on top. But it's kind of foreshadowed in this passage too, where Abimelech represents the serpent. He's a fire-breathing serpent going around wreaking havoc, and definitely does some damage. Definitely seems to have the victory, but then this no named unidentified woman just drops a stone from the top of the tower and crushes his head. It's not only poetic in the sense of calling back to Genesis, but it's also poetic because Abimelech murdered all of his brothers on a stone, and he himself was murdered with a stone. So it's very poetic justice, you could say. So that's kind of the story of Abimelech. It's weird that it's in the book of Judges, I guess, because Abimelech wasn't really a judge, but maybe you could consider the woman on the tower the judge in this case. But yeah, in the evening, Cliff preached on Judges 11, which is about another judge named Jephthah, who he was more of a judge. He wasn't officially called by God, but he was used by God to defeat Israel's enemies. Jephthah actually has a lot of parallels with Abimelech in some ways. They were both kind of ostracized from their family. Jephthah was the son of a prostitute, so his family drove him away, and they said, you don't belong with us. So he is cast out, and just as Abimelech became the leader of a gang of scoundrels, Jephthah also he attracts a gang of scoundrels, and they gather around him and follow him. And in Abimelech's story, he went to the people to make him king. But in Jephthah's story, the people sought Jephthah out to make him their king. And Jephthah is kind of, he accepts their invitation, but first he kind of tries to teach them a lesson and says, now you want me to be king even though you rejected me before. So yeah, Israel is basically under threat by the Ammonites, and so Jephthah takes his band of scoundrels and goes up against the Ammonite king. And before he even attempts to go to war against the king, he tries to make a peaceful approach and make a diplomatic approach, and tries to talk to the king, and basically says, if you look at history, we have no quarrel with your people. Jephthah is kind of trying to correct the king's history. He's trying to correct his theology, but the king just kind of blows him off and says, we're gonna go to war anyways. So the Ammonite king makes war, and then Jephthah is imbued with the spirit of the Lord, and he goes out to fight the Ammonites. But then this interesting thing happens where Jephthah makes a vow to the Lord and says that whatever comes out of the door of my house to meet me when I return in triumph from the Ammonites will be the Lord's, and I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. And this vow kind of has a slew of different interpretations, and it's kind of difficult to say. I take it at face value. I mean, it sounds like he's saying that when he returns home, whatever comes out to meet him, he's gonna sacrifice as a burnt offering. So when he goes home after defeating the Ammonites, his daughter comes out of the house to meet him, and when he sees her, he tears his clothes, he cries and says, "Oh no, my daughter, you have brought me down, and I am devastated. I have made a vow to the Lord that I cannot break." And so he ends up doing, the text says he did to his daughter what he vowed that he would do. A lot, I don't know if a lot, but I did encounter some commentators trying to say that he didn't actually sacrifice her, and that all he did was vow to never give her away in marriage, which is why she weeps for the fact that she's a virgin and she'll never marry. I think she's just weeping because she's gonna die before she gets the chance to marry. That seems to be what the text is saying. So, anyways, yeah. I think the reason people try to reinterpret that vow is because people want to see Jephthah as a hero, because he does in fact have a lot of parallels with Jesus. I listened to a podcast by David Murray where he pointed out a lot of the parallels between Jephthah and Jesus. Like, they both had a lowly, scandalous birth. Jephthah was born of a prostitute. Jesus was born of a virgin who there was a lot of, misunderstanding around her pregnancy. They were both cast out and rejected by men. They both were defenders of Israel. They both attracted kind of unimportant and sinful people. They were both, they both befriended kind of the nobodies of society. And I guess the correlation that Cliff made in his sermon was that in Jephthah's case, he made a vow to sacrifice his daughter. In Jesus' case, his father made a vow to sacrifice him, but in Jephthah's case, it was kind of a rash decision, and in Jesus' case, it was not a rash decision. It was made before the foundations of the earth, and it was a mutual vow. But yeah, the thing that Cliff pointed out, and that I think was a really good reminder, is that when Scripture presents these characters like Jephthah, and even in the book of Hebrews, Jephthah is included in the quote-unquote Hall of Faith, chapter 11, where all of the sort of big names of Scripture are listed. These people aren't heroes in the sense that these are people that we should emulate their actions and their character and their behavior and everything. They're in the Hall of Faith because they had faith in God, and it was God who worked through them despite their shortcomings. So we shouldn't look to people like Jephthah for, inspiration to be like them. We should look to them as lessons that God uses people that make mistakes, and he uses people that have faith in him to do his work. So that was the takeaway from that sermon. All right, so the rest of the week, we ended up watching a lot of movies this week. My sister and I, on Tuesday, we watched The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser The Mummy, which is always a good movie, always a classic. So we watched that because, as I mentioned in last week's episode, one of the houses this year at Halloween Horror Nights is Universal Monsters, Eternal Bloodlines. And the story behind that house is that it's all the sort of female characters in the classic Universal Monsters movies. So that would be like the Bride of Frankenstein, from Frankenstein, and this from The Mummy, Anaxunamun is the sort of woman that the mummy, in Imhotep, that's the sort of his gal. So we watched The Mummy to kind of prepare us for that house. And on Thursday, we watched The Mummy 2, which features Anaxunamun a lot more. On Friday, we watched Zombieland, which is another one of my favorite movies that I just will always watch and enjoy. Because one of the scare zones is Swamp of the Undead, which Zombieland isn't really particularly swampy, but there are undead in it. So that's why we watched that. And on Saturday, we watched E.T. and Ghostbusters. The reason we watched those movies is because Universal Studios has a new parade that they started doing, which is all about like classic movies and stuff. So it has E.T., Ghostbusters, Jaws, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, just all like the classic movies from Universal. So my parents and my sister have all been watching those classic movies like Jaws and Back to the Future and stuff. I was kind of out of the loop, so I haven't been watching them, but I joined them in watching E.T. and Ghostbusters yesterday. So that was cool. And then one more thing that I did this week, on Wednesday I went to a men's group at my church called Dead Theologians Society, which is a group that meets once a month to basically discuss a dead theologian and discuss one of their works and the thoughts that they presented in that work. So this week we talked about Jonathan Edwards and his work on heaven being a world of love. So we talked about heaven, we talked about love, and that was cool. I don't really have necessarily any significant takeaways from it other than just I always enjoy hanging out with those guys. Okay, moving on now to my music spotlights for this week. First artist I want to spotlight is called Bobbing. Bobbing is a solo project by a musician named Robert Ross. I found out this week that he was formerly a guitarist in a band called Feed Me Jack. He's from Santa Cruz, California, and started doing solo music in 2017. But I did check out the band Feed Me Jack. They don't have a lot of music, just like an album and a couple EPs. But you can definitely hear the sort of style of Robert Ross in like songs like Definitely You from their EP Anatolia. The way he plays guitar, it's very like arpeggiated. So you have these like arpeggiated guitar licks. And the song kind of transitions from like fast to a slow section, which is something that Bobbing does in his music too. The first song that I ever heard by Bobbing was Johnny Bravo from his EP Thank You for Singing to Me in 2019. This just has a really pretty melody. He has some kind of background vocals that give it a nice touch. At the end of the song, there's this like rock breakdown that just is really cool and just always makes me so happy when I hear it. And then another song from that EP I like is called Shrugging Match. This song is just all over the place. It's starts out with this nice rock intro. The vocals come in and they're like, he has like these really soft vocals, but they're really fast paced. You have some cool electronic sound effects that come in. Like the song that I spotlighted by Feed Me Jack, this song slows down at one point, and you get these like bursts of noise kind of here and there that sound really cool. There's this awesome like glitchy electronic melody section. Then it moves to a soft, like really soft part that turns then into like a slow build-up, and it builds up to a section where the melody that you hear in the beginning comes back, but it's at a slower tempo, and there's some key changes. It's just, this part is just so beautiful. I really love the part at the end when it does that slow melody. In 2020, he released an album called Mixtape. It has like a really lo-fi hip hop kind of sound. Each track is about a minute and a half long, and they each flow like seamlessly into each other. Like each track flows seamlessly into the next track. So yeah, you have to listen to the whole album to get the full effect. But I'll just spotlight some of the songs that really stood out to me. The song Blink 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 is really cool. Share an example of how it flows into the next song, which is called Oh. That's just the title of it. But yeah, both songs sound really cool, and I don't know what else to say about them other than just they're really cool sounding. There's another song on the album called Do You Have Cowboy Hat? They're kind of silly titles, but they sound cool. This one has this like really crazy sounding chopped up vocal sample. It's pretty unique. Then there's a song called Kelly's Dungeon. This one's like a slow, smooth hip-hop sound with vocals. The second half has some kind of funky keys in it. And then Mastodon Matador. It's got some nice bass and guitar.
Snaggletooth.
This one's got this like really funky polyrhythmic beat. It actually reminds me a lot of Hiatus Kaiyote, who I plan on spotlighting in the nearish future. And then the last song from that album is called Threat Level Midnight, which is a reference to The Office. You have these like fun, like a synthetic voice quoting Michael Scott, talking about Threat Level Midnight.
I have been writing a movie during my leisure time.
And then the song finishes with some jazzy keys and this really cool flute melody. The whole album, I feel like, has a very like Kiefer vibe, which Kiefer is a kind of lo-fi hip-hop musician. And in 2021, Bobbing actually collaborated with Kiefer and released a track called Crosstalk / Orbia Bloom. This one's really funky. It almost has like a disco-y sound. The second half of the song kind of slows down, definitely more of a Kiefer-esque influence. You get his characteristic jazzy piano and some guitar that come in. And then recently, in 2023, Bobbing released an album called Year of the Newt, and I really only want to spotlight one song from it called It Never Happened. This song is like really fast-paced and hyper sounding. You've got these like stabbing guitar and synth chords.
Go out and touch grass, I really hope you'll reach. Don't extend beyond the grass, it's hard to synchronize your speech. The ticking of the dials on the radio, clock out gas and chemicals.
Really exciting chorus, lots of electronic noises come in, especially at the very end. It's just a really hyper sounding song. The next artist is Jerry Folk. I didn't find much information about this dude. He's from Norway, and that's all I found out. But yeah, his music is pretty cool. I discovered his song Lesson from the album Leisure Tapes in 2018. The kind of highlight of this song is this just crazy synth breakdown in like the middle of the song that just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it really surprised me when I first heard it. And it's just like, man, what an interesting sound. So that I'll play that. But some of the other songs on that album I really like. The song Sweetness on My Tongue. This one's like super funky. It's got kind of 80s dance vibes. I'm thinking particularly of the song The Safety Dance, with that sort of doo-doo-doo, which this song has kind of a similar melody in it.
Nothing more left to say, no more thinking about yesterday. Pack my bag and put it all away. I just wanna give it through.
And the chorus of this song is really catchy. I find myself, singing along to the chorus a lot.
Sweetness on my tongue. I really get what you have done. I really get what
I think my favorite song from this album is called All in Me. This is a collaboration with an artist named Heavy Mellow, who I haven't listened to much. I should have checked out more of Heavy Mellow's music, but I like this song a lot. It's a beautiful, like, lo-fi hip-hop track, just beautiful guitar, really smooth beat. There's this funky section with some kind of electronic keys at one point. So that album was my first exposure to Jerry Folk. This week I went back and listened to some of his earlier stuff. In 2017 he released an album called Purple Evenings, and I like the song Is Kesha Fire. It's got like an awesome beat to it and some funky keys.
And I don't wanna take up your time, but I
think the beat really shines in the chorus. I don't know why, it sounds kind of heavier, and I love the beat in the chorus. And then also on that album, he has a song called Flamido, which is another collaboration with Heavy Mellow. It's got also a sort of lo-fi beat, kind of a slow, dreamy sound, and then there's some more funky / jazzy keys sprinkled throughout. In 2019, he released an EP called Sneeze, and I like the song Carpool from that EP. It's got like a really funky beat. This song has some kind of silly lyrics. He's saying, "Move those stinky feet out of my carpool."
I said, move those stinky feet out of my carpool. I'm just trying to catch some revenue.
It's funny, and just, yeah. I mean, the song sounds cool too, so that's why I like it. But the lyrics are really silly. And then in 2020, he released an EP called Slow, and I like the song Carousel. I don't have much to say about it. It's just a nice hip hop beat.
Wow.
And then in 2021, he released an EP called Moving Points, and I like the track Blinker. Just another good hip-hop beat, and it also has some cool synth parts, like just like some deep-sounding synth. Next, I have Jonathan Ogden, who is from Salford, England. He's a Christian, and he got his start in a band called Rivers and Robots. I like some of their songs. I like the song Satisfy from 2018. It's got like a nice sort of summery guitar lick, and just some really good lyrics too. You know, all of his songs are pretty worshipful and scriptural, so I enjoy that about this artist. Satisfy is a good summer sound. One of their older songs that I like is called Voice That Stills the Raging Sea. This is from their album All Things New, and this one's got just like a pretty rock sound. My favorite part of this song is where he sings "Speak Peace." like his voice goes up and down, and it has just a really beautiful melody when he sings that line. And then after that part, this beautiful like sliding guitar comes in and just sounds so chill and really beautiful. I have a particular memory with this song. The first time I ever heard it was in 2017, and I was standing in my kitchen in my apartment, and this song started playing, and I just got so into it, and I was like basically worshiping, like in my kitchen, just like sort of swaying back and forth and dancing, and yeah, I love this song. In 2017, he collaborated with an artist called Wild, W-Y-L-D, on a song called Home, and I just adore this song. It's so good. It has a beautiful chord progression, and I love Jonathan's vocal performance in this. For you to feel, so come and have your way. And what really makes it stand out is this groovy synth section that I'm sure is Wild's contribution. So yeah, I love that track. Those songs were by Rivers and Robots, but Jonathan Ogden releases a lot of solo stuff too. And also in 2017, Jonathan Ogden released a solo EP called Summer, and I like the song Psalm 34, 9 through 11, which is literally just Psalm 34 verses 9 through 11 set to music. But it has this it's like a groovy sort of lo-fi track. And the guitar, I love the guitar lick after the chorus. Just the way it sounds kind of just sort of summery, and I love the sort of sliding up and down part. In 2019, his sound really evolved and kind of became more sort of synthy, more ambient. And he released a track called Slow Down. Slow Down has this really like slow ambient sound. The chorus is really the best part of this song. I love the melody and the sort of keys in that part. And then in 2020, he released an album called 24, which is all instrumental, I believe. And each song corresponds to an hour of the day, the 24 hours of the day. And some of the tracks that I like from that, I like the song 2000, Night to Night. This is a nice upbeat sounding track. It makes me think of like going for a nighttime drive in a big city. Like I just imagine driving down a street with, like all the city lights and stuff outside your window. I don't know why, it just makes me think of that. But then I also like 2300 Found. This is just really pretty sounding track, smooth. It's got like some side chaining in the synth that I really like. And then, what would you say, 000? 000 Midnight. This one's like just a really beautiful ambient IDM kind of track. I I picked up some like C418 vibes, especially with the marimba melody that comes in later in the track, and just the sort of thumping house beat. If you don't know C418, he did the music for the soundtrack for Minecraft, but also released some other music, which I'll spotlight him sometime in the future. Anyways, then he released some music in 2022 and 2023. I like the song This Love. It's a nice funky track with some sort of 80s sounding synth and kind of somewhat of a disco beat, it sounds like. And then I really, really like the song Take Me Back, which is from his EP Take Me Back in 2023. And it just has like a beautiful piano, beautiful vocals and guitar, and yeah, just a nice lo-fi hip-hop beat. So that's a really good track that I would recommend listening to. And the last artist I'm going to spotlight is Beau Diako. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced. I should have looked up how to pronounce this. I'm sorry, dude. His full name is Beau Diakowicz. I don't know. But he shortened it to Beau Diako. He's from Fareham, England, so he's also from England, just like Jonathan Ogden, and got his start in a local band which disbanded, and then he started a duo project with his then girlfriend Emily Kruger. Their project was called Zoology. I'll spotlight a couple songs by them because they're pretty good. His song Maroon, or their song Maroon, I should say, by Zoology from 2018. I spotlight this song especially because at the end there's this guitar lick that plays, and the same guitar lick actually comes back in one of Beau Diako's solo songs. So remember this guitar lick because it comes back. And another song I like by Zoology is called Waterfalls. This actually has some more Hiatus Coyote vibes, so I like it a lot. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to spotlighting Hiatus Coyote in the future. But yeah, I just wanted to share this song because it sounds really cool. And
I get lost in your waterfalls.
Eventually, Beau Diako started making solo music, and he collaborates a lot with other artists who contribute vocals, because he himself, he would like to be able to sing, but he feels like he's too quiet, so he doesn't sing in any of his own songs. But he enjoys collaborating with other artists and getting their vocals. But the first song I ever heard by him was called Kiev in 2020. And this is an instrumental track. And it's just really pretty sounding and kind of an ambient lo-fi hip-hop sound. I really like the bass, like the sort of sparse bass hits that come in, like yeah, then he has a song called Birthmark, which he released in 2022. He did this with an artist called Emok, or Emok, I don't know how it's pronounced. This one just has some really pretty guitar parts, and I also like the song Settle Down. I like the sentiment of the lyrics too, just saying people just need to settle down. Talks a lot, talks about like rest, like being restful and taking a break, which, I feel like is something that I need to do every once in a while, and everybody could use a break once in a while, so people just need to settle down. The vocalist, Rad Museum, he has a really nice voice too. I like his vocals in this. Another song called Nylon. He collaborated with an artist named Toby Tunis. I like the steel drum in this track. Like towards the end of the song, this really cool steel drum comes in and just gives it a really nice sound.
I know it is what it is, so I better pull through. Could you remind me that
in 2022, he kind of released all these songs on an album called Nylon, and one of the songs that he released with that album was called Normal, with an artist called Amelia Ali. And my favorite part of this song is at the end, there's like these pitched up vocal sample that just, sounds really pretty. And another song that he released on that album is called Turn Your Phone Off, with also the same artist that he collaborated on Birthmark, the artist Emok or whatever. This is just a nice groovy track, and I really like the theme of the lyrics in this one too, just about turning your phone off and being present, being, living in the moment and being aware of your surroundings and stuff.
turn your phone off a day? Maybe take a minute, an hour a day.
And then lastly, the song Afloat with an artist called Miso. This is where the guitar lick from Maroon comes back. So if you remember how that sounded, that's the same guitar lick in this track. And I love the chorus of this song as well. It just sounds really pretty.
Keep me afloat. You can say what you want, but just keep me afloat.
So I have a few bonus tracks this week. One of them is called Invite Me In by Wild Ones from their album Mirror Touch, which they released in 2017. I love this song. When I first heard it, I was like, this is a good song. Great vocals. I like the background vocals. Like particularly when she says the line anyone, and in the background you hear the anyone repeated a couple times. I like the way the vocals sound when she says that.
Can't open your doors no more, not for just anyone.
And in the chorus, there's these background vocals that just sound so beautiful. And there's like this heavy reverb on them. And gives it like a big sort of, just a big sound.
You're making me feel like
I also want to spotlight the song From Here by an artist called Basic Comfort. Basic Comfort is actually a Kalamazoo band. They're a local band. I discovered them on the radio, I think. The radio station Wider FM. They were actually supposed to play at Bell's on Saturday. but they posted on Facebook that 4 out of the 5 of them have COVID, so they had to cancel their show, which is really sad. But yeah, I would definitely recommend checking these guys out. The song From Here is from their new album Dimensions, which they released last year.
Things have changed. If you can't follow, then you can let go of me.
And you know what? I wasn't planning to, but I'm also going to spotlight their song Fed Up, because that's the first song I ever heard by them. And it's just a really good song, and these guys deserve some more attention. So check out Basic Comfort and check out some of their stuff.
We won't be gone for long. Put your headphones on.
And then a couple of new tracks that I want to spotlight. On Tuesday this week, Brother Tiger released a song called Stained Glass. And this song, it's got some fast-paced drums, just some gorgeous, like, 80s synth keys. The whole song, like, the chord progression and the melody just reminds me a lot of Owl City. So if you're familiar with Owl City, you might hear some of the similarities as well. Yeah, this song just sounds really good. I would recommend checking it out. And then on Friday, August 16th, Magic City Hippies blew us away with a new song called I Can't Let You Go. The just intro, the drum, the distorted drum intro of this song, I was just hyped immediately when I started playing this song. It's got like funky bass and guitar in the verses, and that sort of distorted drum comes back in. The beat in this song is just relentless. Like, it's just a constant, fast-paced kind of swing beat. It makes you want to dance when you listen to it. In the middle of the song, there's this really nice guitar solo. And the outro, it like transitions into a more sort of synthy outro with like a nice dance beat, which apparently they're pretty proud of, because when they shared it on Facebook, they're like, make sure you listen to the outro, and like, did you guys hear the outro? They kept, urging their fans to check out the outro. So yeah, definitely listen to the outro of this song, I guess.
I can't let you go. I can't let you go.
So that was this week. I hope you guys enjoyed, and next week I think Ben is going to be on the podcast with me. I haven't confirmed that yet, but we talked about it, so I might have Ben on the podcast next week. But in the meantime, everyone have a good week and stay tuned. Check out, as usual, the Spotify playlist in the description, and we'll see y'all next week.